happy to talk about these issues, and Unger is a sole player. What he does and what he enjoys. It's an honor for me here, and now that I transition to the other side, to join you in this conference and take part in what's happening here. So thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Alon. Thank you, Amir, and we will start. So yes, as Dudi said, I was released recently from the IDF. I was in Mafat, R&D role, headed a branch there in the R&D division. And I dealt mainly with R&D and technologies. And yes, brother, what's up? I want more time now. No, just kidding. And in the 4 years in that job, most of the orders, most of the R&D money I put on startup companies, understanding that the added value for companies in the beginning makes a great change. And that's the difference between realizing a dream or leaving it in the drawer. So that's what I did, and now I took it to the civilian field. I want to explain in the next few minutes about the market. These numbers are a result of research of the market. We're talking about a market that will reach in 2026 to $40 billion, but who's counting? And as people said, the friends from IAI, today the clients want service. You see the black line on the dashboard? Back circle? That's where the money is going to be. If you want to look at the right area for orders, you have to adapt to this model. People won't buy the drone from you, but they won't want the services, the outputs, and that's important. Development will be, as we know, in the United States, in Asia, and such places. And I brought a slide from Bloomberg to talk about what's happening in Paris. If you think you can go and travel now without COVID, but in 2035, in 1 hour, we're talking about 16,000 deliveries, 2,500 transportations of people. You see the numbers, and this is where we're headed. This is where the world is going. This is where the money of the investors is going. What an investor does, he looks at the analysis and constructs and builds where the right place to put the money is. If we look at the map of the drone world, many logos. I don't know if you recognize yourself here, but ultimately, at the end of the day, what is everyone buying? DJI. I'm talking about the small ones. That's the way it is. They're good, they're reliable. I'm promoting Ben the Magnetics here. They're reliable, they work. When you need them, you have them. And it's true for the security field, unfortunately, and according to foreign sources, as they say, the IDF also uses DJI platforms, but there are many. The number is probably secret, and this should not be. And I think we are slowly changing, including with companies like Gadis. These are not precise numbers, but it shows a vector. The world is dealing today with civilian fields, and the military is small, a small market, and they like to buy things off the shelf. But these things will probably change in the future by investing and promoting together as an ecosystem, and this is also the idea of this conference. Also, traditional defense-related companies all together are promoting this field with autonomous actions, energy, fusion of information, preventing conflicts, controlling airspace. It doesn't matter if you're a big UAV or a small UAV. This is where we're all headed. And this is where the market is developing. And this is what we understand that is going to be. This is the market and the dream and the direction. But what happens in reality in the state of Israel in our small island? Data from the recent report by the Authority of Innovation. I recommend looking in their website. It's enlightening. You can see that we are a startup nation, of course, and we saw recently discussion about the unicorns. You can see this histogram going up like crazy. In 2020, investments, $12 billion. Looks good, looks excellent. But if you look at where the investors are putting their money, it's not in startups in the beginning, what we call early stage, bootstraps, pre-seed money, all these slogans that I learned in English in the last 6 months since I was released from the IDF. It's not there. The blue line that you see stays steady, the same investment more or less as far as the numbers. And it's nothing, and it's eroding compared to the overall investment. Not only that, if you look at 03, 2014, there were 1,400 new startups that were born and started working. What does it mean to start up in this phase? 2 to 10 people. They more or less had a PowerPoint presentation. Maybe that's the only thing they could sell. And 1,400 such startups opened in 2014. And since we are in a decline, you don't have to be a genius to understand that if there are less and less new startups, then the graphs that are growing like crazy will not be. There will be less companies to invest in to bring them to the next round. And the more heavy investments, we must start somewhere. And this is true in general to all startups, but it's also true to our world, to the drone issue that we are here to discuss. We have more data from prestigious organizations, drone company development in the year 2020, in the 3 realms that we discussed, hardware, software, and services, where the future is going. Investment in 2 guys with an idea, as I said, people with 2 people, the companies with 2 people, 14%. That's under the average. That means that also in our little swamp here, there are not enough startups, and investors want to invest money in companies that are more established, that are selling products and have results. And this paradigm we want to change. I'll talk about our group, but first, if I work in a startup, I ask myself, how do I begin? There are many directions, there are many ideas, there are many programs. And a startup guy that works in an industry or is a student that is concluding studies in university or leaving the Israeli intelligence community, all these smart guys. How do they start? Who do they go to? They're afraid. In the 6 months that I'm dealing with it from the civilian side, after 4 years that I did this in the Ministry of Defense, these things are very complex for them. More than that, the big companies, the significant companies, including defense industries that are excellent and have R&D and innovation centers, and they promote this because they understand the importance of it. Still, these connections are very difficult. Just as an example, next to our offices, the Innovation Center of Bosch. I thought it was dishwashers. No, they said no. Bosch, all the smart cars in the world, all the sensors and autonomy, it comes from them. I talked to the guy there. I said, look, I have a lot of startups. I have an investment fund now bringing technologies on board. I know them. Come, invest. They said, no problem. How much are they selling? I said, no, they're in the beginning. They're just starting. He said, okay, when they sell 10 million or 10 shekels or dollars, I don't care. We'll talk to them. So the processes are complex. The connections are difficult. This is not trivial. 2 guys in a garage with an idea. Even if they're not in the garage, they're excellent, they're brilliant working in the industry. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be security related. And they want to be, to promote their dream. It's very difficult for them. And the data proves this. We saw that we have a great potential for growth. We have what to sell, there are technologies to be developed, and we need to connect these worlds. And this is the initiative that we started. We joined several partners. There are the people that Dudi mentioned, Brian, that's a serial investor. He has very successful endeavors, almost the 7th. And this is his job. With his Roni Numa, he was a commander of the Central Command. Everybody knows him from leading COVID efforts. He has a company that deals with smart cities, technologies for smart cities, and me, yours truly. I was in Mafat, I did a few things, and I honed my skills and my senses, and I joined my partners. And you know that every good idea starts with a napkin. We had a notebook. This is the drawing that we drew down on our notebook, and the idea was that startup technologies, investments, and ecosystems together will take this world forward and enable better success rates. and will bring a good added value for investors and for the entire ecosystem. So this is how it started. A company that is also in this group called Titan Innovation does demonstrations and operational tools for the security apparatus in various fields where they bring an important added value in a short time. This doesn't come to compete or replace traditional industries. That's very important to be part of it. But it does give a special value to the clients that are willing, and the military, the IDF, is changing, and they're willing to take half-baked 80% products, things that we know from the civilian field today that do not adhere to standards of the military, and they're willing to use it. And the military is changing, including the Air Force, everyone. And this is positive. This is this company. They do quick and dirty and bring things added value to the customer. The next thing is the ecosystem. We believe that if you go slow, you go fast, go together, you reach far. We go far. We aim far. We're connected to very heavy investors, substantial elements that live this business, not only in Israel, but in the world, in the United States and developing markets. We are connected to all the security startups and ecosystems and industries that deal with drones and drone technology. And these connections enable the startup and us and the entire ecosystem to develop and move forward. We believe in collaboration and connections and open innovation. Many times I heard an idea, people came and asked for money for investing beyond what we give pre-seed companies. We help them, we connected them with investors that are willing to put in higher money. They did the process of due diligence. This is very important. This is what we do. And that's it. I'll say a little about the technology. In the previous role that I did in Mafat, I invested in people, Gadi Cooperman with Spear, that we discussed before, the Extend company with Shapira Chagai and Eli Ben Aaron, in Robotican, and Amit Regev, and Yossi Zweig in Kologo. These are all people I knew. I worked with them. They came with an idea. I didn't know that it's called pitch. Now I know that that's what it's called, pitch. They told me a story, and they were in the phase of the PowerPoint presentation. And it's important to understand if this idea can be promoted, if they have a better version. Gadi came with a water bottle cut in half, and there was something folded inside. At the end, a capsule came out of this, and it's very nice. I'm proud that I am part of this and working with such people, and these people are startups that are bringing in money, 2-digit in millions of shekels, which is a lot compared to what I know, and from collaborations with other organizations, and their road is paved to success. And thanks to these connections and collaborations, I think we have the recipe and we have the way to promote. We look at these guys, these startups at the beginning, like bees working hard. They don't draw a salary. No, they do. But these bees want to reach the honey, want to reach the flowers, the nectar. This triangle that takes clients with real needs, that use the systems on a day-to-day basis, and don't tell you that they will or why do we need it. But yes, we take the startup, connect them to the clients that use these platforms. It gives a great added value to the startup. They check their hypotheses. They change technology to adapt to the need of the client. They get new clients. Suddenly someone relates to them seriously, and I can connect them to investors and other components in the ecosystem. This process for the startups is very important. It's beyond a financial help. It's beyond investing. It all assists. There are many incubators that take percentages. We look at this differently. We want to take the startup, help it walk, help it sell, help it succeed in the world. Part will be with us in this funnel. Some will leave us. We're talking about 10 companies in phase 1. We started about a month ago. We have 1 company on board so far. We have in the chain several more. I saw some of them today. And we are with them in a process, doing due diligence, discourse, and they all have to be the best of the best from our perspective. I didn't bring the technology in, I didn't bring videos and demos, but you can go into our website and ask for a demo. these guys, directly in continuation to what was said before, this is exactly it. Nobody wants sticks. Nobody wants to fly. Nobody wants to hear about the details of technology. My kid, he flies an FPV drone. He has a stick. Why does he need a stick? He doesn't need a stick. Technology today enables to wear AR goggles. You saw Mark Zuckerberg. And be in a world that everything is injected into your eyes, processed. This is what we're doing. This startup enables you to enjoy, unless if you want to have one drone and tell the drone what to do and enjoy the information that comes from it, and if you want to control swarms and flocks or whatever. And the sky is the limit. It will change the way we perceive everything, planning the mission, controlling the mission. Not even talking about military realms. Think about, for instance, a national organization in a city. Okay, I live in Petach Tikva, so Petach Tikva, they are managing the city center for contingency. Something happens, they deal with the incident. And outside in the real world, real sensors are flying all around this, real feedback from the real world. So connect the virtual to the real. This is this startup. Two guys, great guys. If you want to hear more about what we do and more ideas, and you want to come to us and join our hive and offer his technology, we will be more than happy. We also have beer, so come. Thank you.